Hello everyone and welcome to Module 1.6. In this module, we're going to be talking about brand loyalty and the ideal customer. Let's talk about brand loyalty first. This module is all about finding which types of products you're going to sell online, and I'm sure that you've got a bunch of different ideas in the higher price points like we talked about before. I'm here to talk about the types of products that you want to stay away from here. I'm sure that some of the niches you've thought about have some familiar brands in them. For example, Canon and Nikon digital cameras, LG and Samsung TVs, Apple iPhones, and Android products. Depending on the niche you're looking at, you will certainly run into some big name brands. Now, the reason we talk about brand loyalty is because most people that shop for these types of products like Apple, Samsung, do vigorous research, and when they finally come to the decision to purchase, most of the time they become a fanatic for the product or become loyal to that product or brand. Hence the term brand loyalty. We don't want to sell products online that have brand loyalty. For example, TVs, phones, digital cameras, video game systems, etc. And the reason for this is because the competition on these types of products is simply too high, and there's no way you're going to get approved for an account with the same pricing terms as, say, Best Buy, Walmart, or any other big box stores, if you even get approved at all. Not to mention, these guys don't even dropship authentic products like that anyway. You'd have to get like a knockoff brand or something, which is why you probably see a lot of those knockoff phone chargers and stuff like that online. The key takeaway here is that we want to steer away from products like that have brand loyalty. So what are the types of products that you should look to sell? In our stores, we're looking for products that customers are comfortable buying from any manufacturer, that they don't have that go-to brand that they're unwilling to stray away from. Another thing we don't want are niches that a few brands absolutely dominate or monopolize the entire market. Again, we can think of TVs on this one. There are some smaller brands trying to make a name for themselves, but the market is basically dominated by a few big brands like LG, Sony, and Samsung. And the same thing goes for things like digital cameras with Sony, Canon, and Nikon, and video game consoles with Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. We don't want to sell in niches like that. So think about something that you've purchased before that the brand itself didn't dictate whether you purchased the product or not. For example, your customers probably don't care what brand of kayak they buy. That's a good example of a product that does not have brand loyalty, going back to the kayak example we've been looking at throughout the first few modules. So let's go through our niche criteria up to this point using the kayak. It's priced at our core product range of $300 to $500 plus. We've established it's okay to ship if the margins work out in your favor, and there is no brand loyalty because people don't care about the exact brand of kayak they get. As long as it fits their needs and lifestyle, they're getting it from a legitimate source, they've read some reviews online. And there's no Apple of kayaks or Sony of kayaks or anything like that. So far, it looks like all of the boxes are checked for kayaks. But just as a little note though, guys, also I want you to know that kayaks might seem like it checks all the boxes, but I've used this example with a lot of people in a lot of conversations, and I've constantly been asked if that's a good niche, but you'll probably face some stiff competition in this niche, so it may not be the best idea for you to sell in. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that because the kayak example will be popping up in different places across the course. So now that we know about brand loyalty, let's talk about the ideal customer or your target market. The goal here is to tell you about the types of customers that you should be going after, your target demographic. By definition, target demographic is a particular sector of a population. So we're looking for a small group of the population to sell to. We're not looking to sell to absolutely everyone in the United States. We're looking to sell to a specific demographic within the United States. In the last modules, we talked about getting the best return on investment or ROI for your time. And we don't want to be wasting too much time on customer service, order issues, and things like that. This is why we specify a particular part of the market or subsector of the market, because certain people are just easier to sell to. They'll give you less hassle, will return less, complain less, leave you good reviews, and patiently wait for their product to arrive. This same thing cannot be said for everyone, so let's go over the different types of demographics. We're going to talk about 3 different demographics, and those are the lower income, upper middle class, and wealthy. These are obviously very broad, and there are many different subsectors and categories of demographics, But for this example, we'll use these three and narrow it down from there. I'm actually going to narrow it down pretty quickly. We're not going to be selling to lower income, and we're not going to be selling exclusively to the wealthy. So who do we sell to? The upper middle class. The upper middle class is the best demographic to target, and I'll give you a couple reasons for that. One is that they have some disposable income. We're looking at households with a combined income of at least $100,000 per year. So then you might say, well, obviously if the upper middle class has an income of over $100,000 per year, the wealthy definitely will. So why not sell to them? The answer is pretty simple, and that's that the upper middle class require less pre-selling, they complain less customer service, they return less, and require less interaction. In my experience, all of these things are true for the upper middle class. These are people that are used to purchasing things online, and it's not a huge deal to them because they're accustomed to it. We also need to remember that the types of products we're selling aren't exactly going to be cheap, which is why we also shouldn't be targeting the low income demographic. If we're talking about selling a $700 or $1,000 product for the low income demographic, that's going to be a pretty big deal. They've probably saved up for this particular purchase, and it's going to require a pretty big chunk of that to purchase the item from you, which naturally brings in more pre-selling and more questions to sell the item. And on top of that, since they spent so much money on the purchase, if everything doesn't go perfectly smooth for them, they're most likely going to complain or return the item, which is more customer service and more headaches for you as a business owner. We want to try to avoid that as much as possible, which is why we're not going to be targeting that demographic. Going back to the wealthy, it's a different demographic, but a lot of the same story. When they're looking to buy something extremely expensive, say in the $7,000 to $10,000 plus range, they're going to ask a lot of questions, and for some reason, something I've noticed over the years is that the return rate can be very high for these types of products as well, if it's not exactly what they want. They expect a very hands-on experience, which can be fine if you're willing to put that kind of time into it, but I personally don't recommend doing that with the headache that is typically associated with it. For these reasons, we're going to target people in the upper middle class. This will bring us the best return on our time with the least amount of involvement. Let's do a comparison to help illustrate this point a little further for you. Let's say we have 3 products, all different types of recliners, each with different price points. We've got them listed at $200, $1,500, and $7,500. The one we've got here on the left is a cheap little recliner. You could probably find it like Big Lots or something for $200. In the middle, we've got a fabric chair for $1,500. Nothing too crazy there, but a very nice chair. And on the right, we have this custom upholstered chair with most likely some kind of foreign fabrics and materials, and that's priced at $7,500. With all of this information, based on what we know so far, which of these 3 options do you think is the best? If you chose the middle option, congratulations, that's the price point and demographic we want to be going after. We don't want the cheap one on the left because we'd most likely be getting into the lower class market, and we've already been over why we don't want to go there. And I know it's tempting to sell the one on the right, but remember something expensive like that is probably custom, and you would definitely be targeting the wealthy audience, which would bring a whole lot of customer service and a high potential for a crazy headache in the sales process. So for those reasons, the $1,500 recliner in the middle is the winner and the exact type of price point. And remember, this product also doesn't have brand loyalty, so it checks all of the current boxes that we've made so far. You know, most people don't care who manufactures their recliner or their couch or their table or something like that, right? Again, I'm not telling you to go sell recliners. It's a super saturated niche, but I just wanted to give you an example of a good combination of price point, brand loyalty, and demographic to help you to start getting some ideas for the type of products that you want to be selling on your store. All right, guys, that's it for brand loyalty and the ideal customer. Hopefully you guys are getting a good grasp on the criteria up to this point. If you ever need a refresher, remember these videos are here for you to watch as many times as you need for reference. Please go back and watch this video or any of the other videos if you feel like you need to get a better grasp on any of these concepts. And of course, if you're ready to move on, I'll see you in the next video.